Hello, everybody. I've been talking to myself here, and I didn't realize I went live. But anyways, now we are live here on all links here. Big show tonight, everybody. Big show. I've got a guest coming in, New York City area. Carlos going to give me, he's a regular on as far as commenting on a lot of the other shows through Northeast Streaming Sports, and then quite frankly on my show. Haven't talked to the guy in a while, not through the computer anyway, so I want to bring him on. We're going to talk about the Knicks, Brooklyn, and we're going to talk about the there was a big trend going on with Rob Parker from FS1. He does a show with Chris Broussard on Fox Sports Radio and FS1 called The Odd Couple. And, you know, I don't agree with this guy on everything, but I'll say this. He made some good points. I don't want to talk about that. And they made some good points. And quite frankly, he may have a point. Talk about the Atlanta Falcons, Matt Ryan. He's probably staying in Atlanta for 2 years. I made a mistake there. Didn't do my homework. I was going by what the owner said, and I was going by mock drafts. But I looked at the numbers. This guy's going to be there a while. Ron Rivera, on why they call him Riverboat Ron. And there's a draft rumor about the Washington football team. I want to get into that. But first, listen to this argument by Rob Parker. This was on, what was yesterday, folks? Wednesday? Wednesday's Odd Couple show. Talking to Chris Broussard on Steph Curry. This team is in 11th place. If the playoffs started today, I don't think they would be. They got this playing game. But if it was a traditional playoff format where you got the top 8 seeds in each conference, this team wouldn't be in the playoff hunt. But listen to Rob Parker Tuesday on the show. Good deal. And I'll see Carlos there. Carlos, listen to this soundbite, and I'll bring you in.
You.
Rob Parker and Chris Broussard.
This was supposed to be Steph Curry's year to be a transcendent player. He changed the NBA. He don't need Kevin Durant. I know Klay Thompson ain't playing. He's got all these other young stars around him. They got Wiseman, right? They don't need anybody else. Draymond Green is still there. Can I talk?
I'm just listening.
It's a long soundbite.
It's supposed to be about Steph. Those fraudulent people out there, they were talking about Steph Curry for MVP. Do you remember that? Steph Curry for MVP? Are you kidding me? Steph Curry is not that guy. I've been saying it for years. All the people in the Bay Area, I know you're ready to crash your car off the Golden Gate Bridge. He's not that guy. He's not the transcendent player that people, yes, he made a lot of threes. He's never made the big threes to win you the game. If it wasn't for Kevin Durant, I sit here and right now and tell you the Warriors wouldn't have won those two championships, other two championships. I'm confident of that. This is a guy who's never won the Finals MVP, who had his team and milk money taken away from him.
Never won the Finals MVP. Now, he's not exaggerating on this. Chris Broussard, the co-host here, and guys like Colin Cowherd, and a lot of the national media people, and some of my friends. I want Carlos to bring you in on this in just a second. But they talk about this guy. And I like him as a person. Don't get me wrong. I like Steph Curry. He's a good guy. He's a really good guy. But basketball-wise, you think when you use the word transcending player, we're talking LeBron James, Kevin Durant. Let's go back farther. Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant. Those guys have all won multiple Finals MVPs. He has won none. This guy's considered, people talk about Well, he did win the steal, had most steals in 2016, but he's not a great defender. He's a liability. During the championship runs, he was a liability on defense. And a few other notes that I found out about this. Hold on, Carlos. I'm going to bring you right in here, and we're going to start backwards. He averages 23.8 regular season points per game, 26.5 in the playoffs, but no finals MVP. This team he's 49th in defense rating this year. And you say, well, he don't have Klay Thomas. They're 10th in the West. They're 4 games under 500. They're behind Memphis. Can anybody name 2 players on Memphis? Not 2 players not named Ja Morant. They're behind the Spurs and the Portland Trailblazers. And check this out. We talk about he's this great, great three-point shooter. The highest percentage in NBA history is by his coach, Steve Kerr. It's not Steph Curry. But I want to bring in a special guest, a good friend of mine for a very long time. Went to school with this guy 19 years ago. We're going to talk about the New York sports and everything, particularly the basketball season. We're a month away. But I know Carlos knows the NBA front, back, and sideways. I want to get his take on that. And let me bring you in here, brother. Okay, Carlos, what's your take on – good to see you, man, by the way.
How's it going, Robert?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you a little bit. Just speak up as much as you can.
All right, I went to the Mets game, so I kind of lost a little bit of my voice. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you were all decked out, dude. Hey, you know what? I didn't even see the box score. Did the Mets win tonight?
Barely, yeah. They got a controversial call at the end. You should watch it.
Man. Hey, I saw that game the other night where the other guy had the no-hitter against you guys, but you still beat him, Vasquez.
Yeah, it's been a crazy opening week for, I guess, every baseball team that's been ranked or in the top first half of their division. So,
Well, I had to bring you in. All the guys have been talking about you. Mac and Jack love you. And I'm thinking to myself, I got to bring in Carlos before he gets too big a star and he forgets his old boy, Robert, from the UC Center in Clarksville, Tennessee in 2002.
That's some time ago, but those are good times. We didn't have to worry about much except for getting to class on time.
We just started, and just talk sports for hours. So did you hear my argument on Steph Curry? Is Steph Curry in that LeBron, Kevin Durant, Larry Bird? Is he in that conversation, in your opinion?
He's more in a conversation that we speak about Ray Allen and Reggie Miller. Prolific scorers, great teammates. They'll help you get to the playoffs, but those guys, unfortunately, they can't carry a team. They have to be surrounded by another player or other teammates to get to the mountaintop. I'm not saying that LeBron could do it on his own, but his rookie season, he took the Cavaliers almost to the finals. And
I totally forgot about that.
So, Steph Curry can change the game dramatically, but between coaching and having a team around him is how he's been a game changer, someone that's good in the NBA. But to say that he's going to be transcending is maybe 2 more years. I mean, if he carries the Warriors to a playoff next year and gets them a championship, maybe they can say that about him, because he needs what, Thompson? He doesn't have Thompson on his side, And I know Jordan needed Pippen, but even when Jordan didn't have Pippen, he still scored an average of 35 points a game for 6 games.
He's not in any playoff or he's not in any MVP talks. They're 10th. They're behind Memphis. Can you name 2 players not named Ja Morant for Memphis? Memphis is 8th seed, by the way.
Memphis is a young team.
And Memphis is much younger.
Yeah.
So Memphis is overachieving, led by a 22-year-old, 23 Ja Morant. And I was a big Ja Morant over Zion. I know Zion's really talented, but I always thought he was a better player. But I think he's right about Steph Curry. I mean, going back to that, it's just I think he's a 3-point you said Ray Allen. Ray Allen still leads the league in all-time threes made. I'll check that out this morning. He is more like a Ray Allen. He is what I call a special at Pickles. Thank you. Pickles says, hey, Lopez, by the way, or Chavez. That's another friend of mine I used to work with. You got them mixed up, Pickles. But it just, I tell you, man.
Now, remember, even Ray Allen in his third or fourth year helped Milwaukee Bucks get to the playoffs. But
Against Philadelphia, they had a strong 7-game series in 0-1.
But that didn't mean that he couldn't carry the team over, Yeah. And even with the coaching aspect of it, without the coach, they only had 2 or 3 players that average about 20 points a game. So, I always say you need 9 to 10 players to win a championship. But your number 1 and number 2, if they scored 30 points, they're going to be okay.
Okay. Yeah. And Pickles says Kyle Anderson. I knew you know Valanciunas, Pickles, but you're more of a gambler. Kyle Anderson's not a household name. That guy's a role player. I think he used to play with the Spurs 100 years ago. So let me ask you about Kevin Durant comes back. He goes perfect last night. What is your thought? What's the buzz around town? Now, do you live in the Queensboro?
Yeah. I live in Queens. I live really City Field is like my backyard pretty much. I live right down the street from City
How far is that from the old Shea Stadium? Because I've been to Shea.
So it's the parking lot. It's across the old parking lot of Shea Stadium. It's in the same spot pretty much.
Oh, nice. Okay. Because I know that they play U.S. Open that's right beside each other. I remember it, brother. Shoot.
It's still there.
So anyways, all right. So what's the talk of the town? What's your vibe about the Nets right now? Wow. Do you think they could win it this year? Not get to the finals. I think they could win the whole thing. Do you think they can win it this year?
Right now, the way the NBA is going, the Nets, second team, can probably be in the playoffs. That's how deep they are. The only thing that bothers me about that team is that those players have to play hard, and they're not going to listen to their coach. And they're already giving Steve Nash Coach of the Year, awards here in New York, and he hasn't really actually done anything to coach them. These are guys who have been playing ball their whole lives and ready to win a championship. It's going to come down to how they're going to how they're going to role play these guys in and out of the lineup. Are they going to have the stamina to finish games? They're coming in some of these games. They got 20 points in the first quarter up to the second half, and then they let these teams catch up. They're just balling, but you got to have good coaching, which Steve Nash's first year coaching. So we're going to see how that's going to, pan out.
Because it is a big, once you get into later in the rounds, it's big on substitutions and minutes restriction.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Hello, Steph Wood. Always up to no good. Good to see. I saw you popped up on the screen there, my friend. So anyways, do you think that Nash can make those adjustments? Now, listen, that you got to say that Harden comes back. He's got a hamstring. I think he Colin Cowherd thinks he's faking it. He's mailing it in.
I heard him comment about that the other day that, isn't it so
ironic
that he's not playing and Durant's back for his first game. And I think that's kind of true. And I think that's good for Nash to do is let him off, give him a few days off, let him rest, let him collect himself, because now he's going to have to change his game. His mentality is going to he can't be so aggressive that he's going to get into the way that and Kevin Durant's going to have to score on the inside and in the outside. Then and Harden always carries the ball in and out, and he's not going to want to stay on the 3-point line if he doesn't feel like it. He's that kind of player. He's aggressive. So I think it's good that he took this little break, because now he's going to have to take a second look of how's his game going to change now that Durant's there.
Okay. All right. Let me put it this way. All right. You've got Philadelphia. Say that Embiid's back. Let's play the hypothetical. Just say Embiid's back. Let's say Harden's back. I don't know if anybody else is injured in the East that's of any significance. Do you see everybody healthy? Do you see this team going to the finals? if the playoffs started today? I know it don't start to around May the 15th.
Well, Philadelphia, they have to get it together mentally. Embiid coming back is going to help. They don't have to worry about Howard eating up minutes and not averaging 8 points, 6 points a game. Like, they need somebody. They need help in the center, to get the rebounds, because Ben Simmons he picks and chooses who he's going to go up against, and then you got Tobias Harris pick and choosing who they want to go against, and you got Doc Rivers going nuts talking about, hey, everybody needs to play defense, everybody needs to get aggressive, and both of them looking at each other like they don't want to play defense, or they don't want to pass the ball to each other.
Who do you see going to the Eastern Conference Finals if that scenario played out where everybody's healthy today? I can give you the standings.
Yeah, I know Philadelphia's number 1 right now.
Let's see.
I would have to
find those standings, my friend.
Okay, to the Nets, because like Steve Nash he don't really have to coach these guys.
Okay,
and Doc Rivers really has to coach Tobias and Ben Simmons and Embiid. Like, he has to be in their face and make them aggressive. Oh, Embiid's very aggressive, but Simmons isn't that aggressive, and Tobias wants the ball. So he does. I don't understand. People talk, oh, they're doing so well, but I don't see the team chemistry there that other people are seeing.
So would you see them beating a healthy Laker team in the finals?
The 76ers?
Yeah. No, Brooklyn.
Brooklyn?
I'm just talking about the East in general.
I think both teams, the 76ers and the Nets, can match up against the Lakers, because the Lakers right now are hurting.
Okay.
Their egos are hurt. They know that they need LeBron, and they're waiting for LeBron to come back. The Lakers right now, that team reminds me of the Cavaliers when LeBron came back. Like, if LeBron didn't play, they were like uncertain whether they should even go.
Yeah, they were losing to Miami last I checked tonight.
Yeah. So it's like, the Lakers the team needs to understand that LeBron is one piece and not the whole piece.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's more of a coaching thing than it is a player thing.
Well, you hear me ramp about their seeding. It's impossible. The only team that in the history of the game, Carlos Pickles, that's won the finals past the 4th seed is the 1994 Houston Rockets without Michael Jordan. Think about the history of the game, and these LeBron worshipers, your big network guys, not everybody. They say, oh, they can be 7, 8. I say, okay, talk's cheap with a 36-year-old league guy. You got a big man who's hurt. I like the Drummond move, but that's just
Drummond's just as old as LeBron.
No, he's 27.
Drummond's 27.
He looks like he's 36 sometimes. So okay, let's get to the main. Yeah, he looks 36. He's been in the league for 100 years because he came in really young. Now, we're going to the Knicks. They're an 8th seed right now. If the playoffs started today, now my argument is Tom Thibodeau's got one of the youngest teams in the league, and look at James Dolan. His reputation's not the greatest. He's still trying to work his way in great favors of free agency and good coaches. What is your problem with Tom Thibodeau? Man, did he not give you an autograph or something? It's like you hate that guy.
No, I keep telling people I don't have anything against Tom Thibodeau, except the fact that he's trying to be a coach. Okay. He's a great teacher, and you can see that everywhere he goes. He got the Bulls, he got Rose, a couple of guys to the playoffs with the Bulls, but then he never made it to the promised land after getting them to the playoffs. Then he took a young team in Minnesota, took them to the playoffs, couldn't get past the second round. I mean, he can't get, even when he was with the Knicks, he couldn't get, as a coach, as an assistant coach, he couldn't get past couldn't get past the Bulls. Like, he's a great mentor, he's a great coach. People say that, but the Knicks don't need a teacher. They need a coach. They need somebody to say, hey, listen, this is how we
you don't think he's a good coach, per se?
No, he's not a good head coach at all. I mean, he's a good assistant coach. He can manage them and help them solidify their skills and what they need. But what has he proven in the league? What has he done to be a head coach for the New York Knicks and get paid what he gets paid? And look what he's doing to the team now. The team is young, right? If you got a young team, all the last 4 years, they got top 10 picks, and he's benching 3 of them. For what reason?
because they're too young. They're
It
babies.
doesn't matter. They're baby. That's right. You put them on the court, and you make them work for it. You make them get at it. You make.
I like their
them
movement, though, man. They're not standing around.
No, but
everybody's moving.
But here's the thing: they got a good player in Randall, and I don't think he should average more than 25 minutes a game. He's playing 36, 38, 40 minutes a game.
So you're still holding that against him.
Like he
from the Jimmy Butler days with Chicago.
Yeah, he plays favorites. Like, listen, you got a team. They're on the verge of making the playoffs. Randall's gonna have to be. He's gonna have to calm down too, because he gets frustrated towards the end of these games because he's tired. Yeah. You see him, he's screaming at refs, and everything's a foul, and everybody's against him. It's like, and he has an attitude problem, and I'm okay with that. I like Randall. I love him as a player, but man, you can't run him dry like that.
So, who do you think they should realistically get, and they can realistically get to replace Thibodeau? Because I think it's short. I think the list is short.
There's no list. This is tough because the NBA keeps recycling these coaches, man, and they're not even bringing in young people. I'm even with the school people here in New York to say, hey, bring Mark Jackson in, give him a shot. He does good with.
So that's who you want, Mark Jackson.
I'd rather have Mark Jackson than Thibodeau, because then I know Mark Jackson's gonna be like, listen, we're gonna run this game and everybody's gonna play, right? I don't like to have these top 10 picks for the last 4 years sitting on the bench. I don't care if people say that they're not good or they're not going to get better sitting on the bench. They're not going to get better in practice.
I did look at their depth chart, and a lot of them are they're second stream. That's true. So, Emmanuel quickly and Knox, and who's the other guy? RJ Barrett.
The guy
21
Barrett.
years old, by the way.
Look, check it out. If you want to look at a quick stat.
No, I think Barrett's starting. Excuse me.
He's a starter, but
shooting guard.
The person on the Knicks who has the most blocks don't even play every single day.
Who is that?
Noel. Yeah, and he leads the league in blocks.
Yeah.
And for his division. Come on,
There's
man.
something wrong with Noel, though. He's not got a lot of playing time the last few. What's the problem with Noel? He didn't get nothing in Dallas.
Look, I'm sick of hearing about these kids being on the bench, man. That's all I'm saying. Obi, we just picked him. Oh, well, he doesn't have one good game. He doesn't have two. Look, he's young. These guys are young.
So your argument's more development rather than trying to win now.
Look, people are riding the coattails of Tibbs. Mike Miller, who was coaching the Knicks before Thibodeau came in, was doing the same thing Thibodeau's doing now, except for he was giving everybody an opportunity to get better. Once Tibbs comes in, he says, no, these are the people who are going to start for me. These are people going to be on the bench for me. Like, okay, fine. But that's not a change of culture. You're just using what was already there.
Yeah.
And are you getting credit for something that you really didn't do? And you're not doing anything better now.
How long do you think he'll last with the Knicks?
I say 2 more years, because he's going to get them to the playoffs. And then Dolan's going to give him this spiel like, oh, well, you're doing good for the team and everybody's listening to you. Like, these kids have no other choice than to listen to somebody who's telling them, hey, go on the court and play.
The Pickle says he agrees with you. He said, throw him out, sink or swim.
Yeah. Like, you know what I think? And I told this to Kevin Angle. I said, listen, if Tibbs is he's such a great person, he should go with Hubert Davis to UNC and develop those players over there. Because what they're running now is.
I think he would be better for college.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because he's running these guys to the bone in the NBA. And some of these guys, they don't have the mental basketball setup ready in their head. And some of them don't even have the stamina. I
will push back a little bit. As far as the playoffs are concerned, I've noticed that teams only use like a 6 or 7 man rotation. Remember that year that the Houston Rockets only used 6 guys?
Yeah, but look, okay, so that makes kind of sense because you want everybody to have stability. You want people to be comfort. That's okay.
Yeah.
But those 6 guys in that year, especially knew that Hakeem Olajuwon was the man, right? They knew that everything ran through Hakeem, offense and defense.
Oh, I was talking about. I'm sorry. When they played with Chris Paul.
That's who they were.
Yeah.
They knew everything ran through Chris Paul that season, and where did that get them?
He did get hurt in the 7th game, but I was thinking about the Golden State 7-game series 3 years ago, and they were only using a 6-man rotation that year. So in the playoffs, it's better to go with your best guys and not go that deep into. I notice a lot of teams do that. I would think you would use 10 guys, but apparently that's not the case.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say 9 deep. I usually say, you heard me, talk about this back in the past. You got 9 guys, you get to go. Because 2 of those guys are going to get tired during the series.
I just think they're a good veteran away. They need another star veteran.
Ooh, the Knicks?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I personally don't want to see. I'd rather see our guys develop and be stars and be the ones than bring in somebody and throw a monkey wrench in what's going on over here. We have a lot of youth.
A team that does that, they're just up the road in Boston, man. What are they doing? They've been developing guys for 100 years.
But Stevens isn't a coach to put him into the championship.
They should have called him for that Carolina job.
Yeah, that's another guy.
Well, man, I'm not mad at Hubert Davis, but hold on, let me restart my thing. We get started on this. I got to restart my podcast. Hold on. Do. All right, Carlos, I'm back. Now, in the West, everybody's healthy.
Everybody gonna win.
Who's gonna and I'll come back to you before we get to the playoffs. Who do you think is going to come out of the West? Just think about it for a second.
I think Utah's gonna be in there deep, for sure.
Okay.
They got a good lineup. They got a lot of good youth, a lot of speed. They play defense.
You see those clutch free throws that missed against Phoenix last night.
Well, Phoenix it's not an easy team to play.
Yeah.
They're going to give you a run for the money.
But you think Utah's going to possibly do it? Maybe Denver?
Utah, I mean.
Clippers.
The Clippers.
I mean, they got Rondo now.
Yeah.
They've got better stars.
I think Utah's going to come through.
Okay.
Because they're deep, like with their youth, like the guys that they're developing and playing. They got in and out of the lineup. When there's injuries and stuff, they still compete.
Yeah.
So I like what they're doing over there.
Okay. Yeah. They I did look up some stats on them the other day. They're one of the best defensive teams.
Yeah.
And they're top 5 in the offense. They shot the Lakers out of the gym about 2 weeks ago. And with LeBron. And I think the only knock on them is they don't have the air quote star power.
They don't need it.
As the teams.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But Detroit didn't have it in 05. So
right.
I would not rule out Utah. I think Utah's been really disrespected this year. They had a rough game last night. But remember when Shaq said, told Mitchell, he said, I don't think you can make it. And I said, if they get to the finals, that will be replayed 1,000 times. He brought him on TNT and he kind of embarrassed him. But, I mean, they've been on a tear ever since he said that.
They surprise people because they're faster than they look.
When
they come in playing defense and slowing you down. But then they counter really good. And I like that they make a lot of these offensive players, back push them back on their heels. Do you think
Aaron Gordon you think he's going to push Denver over the top with Joker and everybody?
The problem with them is that they like to shoot, but they don't always make all their shots. In Denver,
I think they take the most attempts in the league. Isn't that right?
It's crazy.
3-point attempts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, man, it's good talking to you. Go Mets, go Northeast, guys, and you look good. I'll bring you back on at some point. Stand by. I got something I want to say about Atlanta, but I'm going back in the NFL. But I guess I could get your take. Okay, who do you think the Jets should take? Are you with all these mock drafts with the whole Zach Wilson thing?
I don't believe in Zach Wilson, man. I don't think this QB draft class is deep at all. I think that Trevor, you got Trevor, then everybody else should be a second round pick, man. Like these guys.
So you wanted to go after Russell Wilson?
I'd rather have Russell Wilson than Zach Wilson for sure.
Okay.
Russell Wilson's going to win you 6 to 8 games alone without an O-line,
Well, they're wanting to save that extra money on the cap and
for what?
College
what are they going to do with it? they're always spending money. They might as well go out and get a quarterback.
Well, they had a garbage general manager prior to Douglas, you know.
I mean, what I like about Douglas is that he's like cleaning house and he's telling people,
yeah,
this is what I'm going to do. But what I don't like is that he brings in Saleh, and then Saleh brings in another LaFleur, who I don't trust in their offense, in their scheme. That Shanahan scheme has never won a Super Bowl.
But they do well. He took it from his dad. So his dad won a Super Bowl with Terrell Davis in '98.
Yeah, but that's his dad. That ain't him, man.
Well, he has blown two. He has blown 2 Super Bowls. One as a coordinator, and one as a head coach. And I'm gonna let you go, man. Right. Come back on the screen. Keep it going. But I got to get into some stuff with the Falcons. Good talking to you again, brother.
All right, man.
See you, man. Soon. Let's see if I can zap you out of here. Okay. All right. Now I'm back. That was my man, Carlos. He's really got an ear for the New York local streets and all that stuff. Yeah, nepotism, Pickles. Okay. I was talking earlier to Carlos, transition back to the NFL, that the Atlanta Falcons, all these mock drafts, Pickles, leading up to about 2 weeks ago, have all had the Falcons taking one of these quarterbacks, either Justin Fields or Trey Lance. Fields is from Georgia, but when I found out about the work ethic issue, and then I said, no. And he's from Georgia too. That's too close to home. I was thinking maybe they'll go with Trey Lance, because Arthur Blank, when this new staff came in, the owner says these guys got free reign to do whatever they want to do with our quarterback, Matt Ryan, excuse me. So I'm thinking, okay, so Ryan is going to they're probably going to draft the guy, Pickles, and then they're going to bring, let Matt Ryan play out this year. Well, I found out why. One thing, there's a lot of reports now and mock drafts now saying that the Falcons are shopping that pick, and they are possibly going to take Kyle Pitts, the sensation out of Florida, at tight end. Everybody wants Kyle Pitts, by the way. Dallas wants Kyle Pitts, and that's another conversation. That's a typical Jerry Jones bonehead move. But anywho, all right. Okay. I'll talk about the salary cap till I get blue in the face, okay? He's a $65 million cap hit if they cut him this year, he being Matt Ryan. That ain't going to happen. But Pickles, he's a $40 million dead cap hit, which means you can't get rid of it if they cut Matt Ryan next year. He's a $48 million cap hit if you keep him on next year. So you're doomed if you do, you're doomed if you don't. So they're going to essentially be stuck with him no matter what they do, Pickles, at quarterback. I mean, technically, they could possibly get away with it. They could draft Trey Lance with that 4th pick, and he would have to sit on the bench for 2 years. Now, my argument would be you've got Arthur Smith, the new head coach. You got Dean Pease. You got a much better defensive coordinator, former coordinator of the Titans and former coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens. It's going to be much better defensively, coaching-wise. Okay? But it's hard to sell that to the fans that you're going to keep a guy on the bench for 2 years in this modern day. Now, Aaron Rodgers stayed on the bench for 3 years. You could pull it off because you'll still have 2 more years left on his rookie low cap number, he being Trey Lance or whoever, Justin Fields. I prefer Trey Lance now because of what I heard about Justin Fields. So there's another report. Michael Lombardi out of The Athletic says that the Washington football team is planning to put a massive trade package together. And then we're talking Daniel Snyder, Riverboat, Ron Rivera. I got a good Ron Rivera story I heard on the Rich Eisen show the other day. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, okay? But they're wanting to come from 19 to 4. And I thought about that all day, and I thought to myself, yeah, they would put, if you want to give me, they need defensive linemen like nobody's business. The Atlanta had problems on defense. I know they wouldn't give up Chase Young, but maybe Allen, the defensive tackle there, and you want to give me that 19th pick, 3 other picks. You get your first round, Washington. You get Allen. You get the 19th from Washington. You get Allen. And then you give 3 additional first round picks and a third this year. I'll give you that 4th pick. I'll answer that in a minute, Don. I'll give you that 4th pick. Now, remember, this Washington team, not the same owner, Pickles. They traded 4 first-round picks to go up to number 2 one year with the Rams. And they took Robert Griffin III. Then they turned around and drafted Kirk Cousins in the 4th round. And they made the playoffs the next year. They made the playoffs the year after that. So giving up all those picks really didn't hurt them. So if they come up with they've got a defensive line. They got trade pieces. They won the conference. They won the division last year, excuse me. You've got Tyler Heineke or whatever. Sound like some kind of beer from Germany or whatever. And you've got Fitzmagic. You let Alex Smith go. Ron Rivera said, I'm just scared of the leg. I cringe with every sack he got. I just freaking out. But so then you've got Fitzpatrick. You got one of the best defensive lines in football. You got Gibson. You got a star there, Terry McLaurin at wide receiver. You got Thomas there, Logan Thomas Pickles at the tight end position. So they'll have a really good squad there, and they go out and get. Now he's saying that they're in love with Trey Lance, this Michael Lombardi of the Athletic. I could see that. So speaking of Riverboat Ron, so I'm listening to a story about Ron Rivera on the what show, man? I forgot, losing track of thought here. Rich Eisen show. So he was on the Rich Eisen show, and he tells a story about how he became known as the gambler, Riverboat Ron Rivera. And he says that around his 2nd year in the league, he was 3 Pickles and 13 in games decided by 6 points or less. When he 2nd year at the Carolina Panthers, when he completed his 2nd year, Jerry Richardson tells him, he says that you need a mentor, Ron. You need a mentor. I got the perfect guy for you. And that guy is, his name's John Madden. You might know him. And that was the John Madden. That was the guy they named the video games after, right? So he calls up John Madden. And he says, Matt, I'm 3 and 13 in games decided by 6 points or less. Madden said, so what happened there? He says, well, the score was certain scores and certain points in the game, I went by the book. He said, what book? He said, the book that says if you score this points, you go for this amount. If you score that point, you go for 2, or you kick the field goal. He says, okay, go rewatch every one of those games, Ron, and come back and tell me what you learned, what you could have done different in those games. So he says he writes this 18-page report for John Madden about those 13 losses in 6-point games. And then Madden said, well, what'd you learn? Well, I could have did this and that. He said, for one thing, tell me about this book again. He said, well, I'll go by the book. He said, well, throw that book away. Okay? Throw that book away. John Madden says, you got to get a feel for the game as that particular game goes on. You know, a team may be weak against you in the red zone at their left side of their defense. They may have a cornerback go out early in the game. They may have a safety injury. He says every game has its own identity. Books can't predict outcomes like that. And that's exactly what he said. He says you need to trust your gut and go with it. Okay? So the very next year, he comes in, he loses a game. He still sticks by the book to Buffalo. And he said he almost got in a wreck on the way home that night because he was thinking about what Madden said. So the next week he played the Giants. They went for it twice on 4th down. They got it. They won. And the reporter says, man, you were taking chances like crazy, converting multiple 4th downs, going for it in the red zone instead of kicking a field goal. Man, you're like Riverboat Ron. And he says, yeah, I'll do that. So a few years later, this guy wins 2-time Coach of the Year. They went 15-1 and went to the Super Bowl one year. Last year, I just had Carlos on here. He's from the New York area. The Washington team, now he's with the new team now, the owner and everything. They lost a game, Pickles, by going for a 2-point conversion in the regular season. I remember on Red Zone last year, that particular game against the Giants. And I thought to myself, that was not a reckless, sloppy play. I see Ron Rivera as a guy who plays to win. He's not a guy that's playing not to lose. In life, when you take chances and you fail like I have, you feel better about that versus letting time pass and not taking a chance and having a regret and not being at a better place than you were years prior. For example, in 2010, I lost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in massive debt on a house rehab. 2013, 2012, I started feeling the wrath of this real estate deal. I scrambled and fought everything to keep from going totally bankrupt. I paid all that debt back, and I'm practically debt free now. But I would not have had the courage to try this show. I didn't have the confidence to do that without falling. You rather leave it on the field of life and fail and come back rather than living your life of regret and, man, I should have took that chance, but I was too bleeping scared. I live by the book that people tell me to live by, that play it safe book. I would run through a brick wall for Ron Rivera or John Madden for that matter. I wouldn't step on cotton on the ground for a Norv Turner, or God rest his soul, a Marty Schottenheimer. Love the guy. He seemed like a good man, but he wanted to run that ball and punt, and run that ball, punt some more. Marty Schottenheimer used to coach for the Browns, the Chargers, never won a Super Bowl. You know, Pickles, I remember there was an interview about a year ago with Jeff Fisher, former University or Tennessee Titans coach. And long story short, Tennessee was in a Super Bowl against the Rams, 2000 year. Tennessee had a safety get injured in that game. Had a cornerback out later in that game. The Titans are driving late in the game. They got all this momentum. They come back 16-0. And long story short, they were coming up on to tie this game. A touchdown would tie it. Remember, they got 1 yard short. This guy, Clay Travis, he asked Jeff Fisher, Pickles. He said, if you would have scored the touchdown there, knowing the injuries that you had, would have kicked the extra point for overtime? Or would have went for 2? And everything I just told you guys, he says I would have went for 1. And I thought, that's why you don't have a job in the NFL right now. Riverboat Ron, you got Steve McNair back there, a guy who can run it in, or he can throw it to a Frank Wycheck. You got Eddie George in there, who earlier in that game ran a guy over, ran a man-to-man over to score a touchdown in that game. I see it like it was yesterday, Pickles. And you trying to tell me you would still kick the extra point? You deserve not to win a Super Bowl for that. Don't live life in regrets. I didn't. I'm stronger than ever now. I'm better off financially than I've ever been. I'm happier than I've ever been. I'm on the verge of a national radio show. I can see it. I can feel it. I can sense it. I mean, great people like Steph Wood, because I'm not afraid to fail and build on that. So, yes, if I'm Washington, I take that chance again. I go out and I get that pick. Go after Trey Lance. But I thought that was a great story. I wanted to share that with you all. Sean Miller. You know, Sean Miller was fired from Arizona from this, something was an FBI scandal or something of that nature. And I tell you what, this guy, this was like 2.5 years ago. And I'll say this. I don't know how good a coach he really was for them not to have fired him that 2 years. And I thought that he would got fired that much longer when this scandal first came out. And I thought that was interesting. Now, he's fired Arizona. You'll find somebody. I guarantee you. You'll probably find somebody that's at this Steph Wood Coaches Conference coming up on the 16th. And one of those up-and-coming coaches will probably take that Arizona. And remember, this is the university Luke Olson used to coach. Don Holloway asked me about the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns, I'm picking to win the AFC North. This is the most talented team, Pickles, I think they've had since that Marty Schottenheimer team that almost got to the Super Bowl in 1987. If it wasn't for John Elway and the drive, I think that this team is going to win the AFC North. I think as of today, the Pittsburgh Steelers probably won't make the playoffs. I think the Ravens will be a wild card at best. And I think it's between Buffalo, Kansas City, out of the AFC to get to the Super Bowl. Yeah, this team has added Pickles. They've added another corner. They've added an excellent safety, John Johnson from the Rams. And they, I want to say they added another defensive lineman. They've got Greedy Williams on a stingy defense back. That's the guy's real name. Greedy Williams was hurt last year. Denzel Ward is an excellent corner, not a good corner. He was a little bit banged up last year as well. You got Myles Garrett. I'm picking them to win that division. Baker Mayfield has got to take another step this year. You got the running game with Chubb. You've got the other running back there. You've got two tight ends. The other tight end didn't even leave. The Njoku is still on there. So you've got essentially three. The young guys was coming along. And then, of course, you added Austin Hooper the year before that. So I'm picking them as of today. As of today, I'm picking the Cleveland Browns to win that division. How far will they go? I don't know. They could get to the Super Bowl because Kansas City has got injuries and Buffalo really hasn't done anything to address their running game. So the Bills, they need a running back, and they'll probably pick up a Najee Harris or somebody, maybe some offensive line help in the draft. Their window's here as well. But it's going to be interesting. It's a lot to keep up with right now. It's still early. We haven't even had any camps, and we haven't had any preseason. If you guys like the show, share the show. SportsSkope is on YouTube now. I'm also on the Northeast Streaming Sports YouTube and the SportsSkope YouTube. I'm going to have to upgrade my StreamYard to do Zodiac. That's something I'll have to think about this weekend. Okay? But check me out on the Mac and Jack Sports Show, Mac Sports, Northeast Streaming Sports, around 7:30 Central Time, Sunday mornings on This Week in Sports with Mac and Jack. We go through everything. Some stuff I don't even want to talk about, but I will anyways because I'll bring it. So if you like the show, share the show. If you want to donate, contribute to the program, I want to thank Kathy again for contributing to the program. You can use the ZELLE app. Send it to SportsSkope, the word sports, the word SKOPE at gmail.com. I will greatly appreciate it. And I'll be back on here Tuesday around 9 p.m. Central Time. I'm going to try to work on a mock draft this weekend. I cannot guarantee that. Haven't even went through a full free agency play out. But you guys like, you know who I like. As far as the free agent, I like what the Chargers did. I like what the Patriots did. They spent the most money. Right off the bat, those two teams, and the Chargers may be a wild card team, but they're very young at quarterback. He's only a second-year player. Hopefully they can pick up somebody, but I do like what Justin Herbert is doing. I like the center they signed there. But those teams I just mentioned, those are the teams that I really like the most in free agency, along with Cleveland Browns. And there's still some players out there that still has not got signed. Clowney, Melvin Ingram, these guys are holding out to the very last minute, and I don't know if I would even sign those guys late into camp. If we get towards training camp in July, then you have an issue, Pickles, of players coming up lame with hamstring injuries. Yeah, Cleveland, they do have the draft, don't they? I'll be here on the Mac and Jack Sports Show. Thank you, Northeast Streaming Sports, Dom. I will be on there on this show in Cleveland talking about the draft around 8 to 8:30 Central Time. Depending on how fast I get on, we'll be talking on with the Northeast Streaming Sports channel that Thursday, 3 weeks from today. We will be on there. So between now and then, I will have my mock draft, and I'm pretty good at this. I was nailing these picks last year. So keep that in mind. I'll be on their show as a guest. Very much looking forward to it. It's going to be a long night. Be staying up on the coffee. Can't wait. Yeah, Justin Houston. Now he's a little bit long in the tooth, but yeah, he's a good one out there. Justin Houston, Melvin Ingram, and Jadeveon Clowney are three players that you would like to plug in. You would like to plug them in for the right price. I'm sure Bill Belichick with New England is looking. Teams like Tennessee, maybe the Jets if the price is right, but they don't want to, they want to go young because they're still in rebuilding mode. So good audience tonight, everybody. I appreciate you watching. Please share my show. We're trying to build a program. Have a good night. I will see you on this show, 9 p.m. Central Time, of course. Again, 7:30 a.m. Central Time. You can watch the replay. Sports Northeast Streaming Sports, the Mac and Jack Sports Show. You can find them on the YouTube, Twitch, and, of course, here on Facebook. Good night, everybody.